Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. So this video is part 2 of my series about Liber, aka Dionysus. He's also called Bacchus and Iacchus, Zagreus, Sabazius, and Liber Pater, and dozens of other titles. So let's talk about Liber Celestia according to Helen Demetrius. Now, Liber Celestia, right, aka Lady Babylon, right? Babylon's system, Babylon's mystery, mist over Eri. Eri being the son of God in Igbo mythology, and Ares, E-R-I-S, being a deity of chaos that accompanies Mars, whose Greek counterpart is Ares, A-R-E-S, has the word R, right? Who are you, right? Into war. So in her video, she brought up that Liber comes from Venus, who's the Roman counterpart of Aphrodite. And Venus, spelled backwards, is Son Eve, right? Like Adam and Eve. She says that the doors of the temple have been thrown open from the love-making of the two alchemists. So shall the knowledge of the high gods be accessed and given freely. She's saying it to humanity. Use this wisdom for Sophia, is said to be watching over you with 1,000 eyes. Make room, she says, to make room in your dark heart for the new light of the new age. And she says that it is coming as the earth is merging with the kingdom, and so on and so forth. Okay? And it says that, you'll once again know how to be a god, and so on and so forth. I say it this way, so don't take me out of context. I do not believe in the mysteries. I abhor the mysteries. The reason why the world is in such a bad state, the reason why the economy is so bad, which is what this playlist is about, is because of the mysteries. Ladies and gentlemen, in the countries like Haiti and Mexico and Colombia and whatever else that supply the drugs here in America, they're said to manufacture fentanyl in China and India. They also are the victims of the mysteries. Some of these people want to maintain their drug dealing cultures. They don't want to come into the light of God. They want to maintain the mystery spirit of Dionysus. The spirit of oppression that covers the whole world is the spirit of Dionysus. You hear false conceptions of equality. People acting like fools in super churches and in every religious institution that you see, really. That's Dionysus, that Dionysian nonsense, that lie, that rape by deception, those Luciferian emotions, that theater art nonsense, that propaganda, that fakeness, that falsehood, that artificial, shallow, superficial rubbish, that's Dionysus. In the video that I'm referencing, she says that Liber Celestia, aka Lady Babylon, right? Because Liber, like hermaphroditus, is gender neutral more than you might think. Females are said to come into the spirit of Liber too. Gay people and so-called straight people alike are said to come into the spirit of Liber. But Liber is really, Dionysus. The simple answer is it's an LGBT spirit. Because once you merge with the LGBT spirit, okay, which is different than, say, just living by LGBT people. For example, I'm not in an LGBT spirit at all. But I live in a state full of LGBT people. Some are more friendly and fair than others. Some are more fair than some straight people. But I'm not in their spirit or in anyone else's. I'm in the spirit of God Almighty. But those who come in the spirit of Dionysus, they're in an LGBT spirit. All the European elite, all the Jewish elite, they're in the LGBT spirit because they're in the spirit of Dionysus. And so when you hear what this person is saying, for example, she's saying that Liber Celestia, this female version of Liber of Dionysus, is said to walk between the worlds and to be known as Sophia. which is what the Templars were accused of worshiping, right? Sophia meaning knowledge. She says she exists between woman and goddess in knowledge and ignorance and walks between the worlds. Her words are said to be like the sword of Anubis, and as such, her words are said to be able to cut you free from the matrix of the black magician. So notice she admits that there's a bunch of people scrambling to put you under a sort of magic spell, a Babylonian spell, but she pretends that her deity can set you free. And that is the essence of madness, of ritual madness, when you think that you're becoming sane from following the essence of madness. Crazy under the guise of sanity. She talks about how her conception of love, which is fake love, her conception of divine will, which is fake will. That's why the word divine is die, vine, and dive. Dive into what? A falcon diving to strike its enemy? Or are you diving into the abyss? Now the vine, the true vine versus the Dionysian vine. Right? The vine is a metaphor for life. Food, trees, the tree of knowledge. The tree can actually be a good metaphor. It can be a bad metaphor, depending on what you think the tree is. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit more about this, and let's wrap this thing up here. So she says that the seas of Mother Chaos are stirring and that the hero prepares his net. That the anchor of the ark is said to be plummeted down into her belly. And within her womb the new dawn is said to grow. Okay, Lucifer, the son of the dawn, versus the son of God as the actual son of the light, a child of light, a child of God. It goes back to interpretation. Interpret, alpha, shun. Which one? Do you shun evil? Do you shun good? Do you shun me as the leader? Or do you shun worldly leaders? Who do you shun? When females are considering to date, they say they'll only date someone who's persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven, or someone who pretends to be persecuted, or who obviously isn't persecuted. What kind of people do you shun? What spirit do you shun? What idea? Do you shun God or the devil? She says that Liber is waiting to be free from his abode and to come out into the world that his parents had prepared for him. So she says that Liber Celestia, right, when the two alchemists come together, this amalgamation of spirits, out comes Liber Celestia, who can be a male or can be a female. But really is the idea of a gender-neutral deity. She says that time is of the essence, and that she thinks they should scramble to become one with her Babylonian deity. Now you see, if someone takes on her philosophy, which millions of Americans have, and tens of millions of people around the world have, that they're out of touch with reality. Instead of focus on how to be morally precise, they're focusing on this rubbish, this kind of fantasy surrealism. You might say anime, manga, emo, rock, rap. It's like everything that causes you to disassociate from reality. It's music in general. In the absence of being in the boundaries of moral precision, what does music do to you? That's why Pan is playing a flute. Dionysus, music and revelry. Apollo factors in with music, technology, music, art, entertainment. Meaning mind is in the word mental. That's why in this cartoon where they had, this is a cartoon I seen when I was younger, there was a walrus playing a flute, and he's leading the oysters into a house where he's going to close the door and eat them. And notice the oysters right there. I'd imagine that walruses don't eat oysters because of the nature of them, but the oysters are trying to protect themselves from the predators of in the water, right? And so it symbolizes this kind of unnatural means to get at what it shouldn't be able to get at, which is like the devil trying to get at your soul. And is the walrus a mixture between a cool walrus playing a flute and a predator? Or is he just a predator using the facade of a cool walrus playing a flute? So that cool walrus isn't really cool, and Lucifer isn't really good. And he's not helping you. Life is short, and as you get older, you get more and more rotten. Do you discard your body and keep your toenail or hair clippings? Or you discard those things that are supposed to be discarded? So Liber is a deity of chaos and confusion like Set. Liber is a form of Set. And Liber has various forms. Dionysus, there's an old guy depicted with a bald head. He's partially bald and a beard. You see the young guy with the beard, skinnier. You see big people depicted, little people. People with snake bodies I've seen on artwork that's associated with Dionysus. He's depicted as a satyr like Pan, leading an army of satyrs to war. To war against who? To war against the forces of sanity. Just like Lady Justice, he's trying to uphold the social order of Greece. Pan means all for all the Greco-Roman deities. They're all satyrs, demons, the devil in their own right. Trying to maintain the social order of the nations, for example. Commonly we think of Greece or Rome, but it was also India. It was also parts of Africa. It was also the Middle East. Dionysus went all over the world. And by the time we get to 2025, it's every nation in the world and its social order. There's social clubs, social order, socializing, social engineering, fraternities, fraternizing. Who fraternizes who? The controlling reproduction, right? The vine, reproduction, vegetation, the harvest, reproduction, fertility. They flat out say he's a fertility deity, a gender neutral fertility deity. The way to fix the economy is with truth and with a sound and logical plan. Not with chaos and confusion where the politicians won't even present a logical plan. Make 3 videos. 1, your plan in a nutshell. 3 to 5 minutes. 2, a more longer version, 10 minutes. Another one, an hour. Then explain a logical plan. Also have billboards showing a logical plan. They won't do it because they're in the spirit of chaos and confusion. Mockery and satire, satyr and satire, and Satan, and set in the initiate, and that is their plan. Serapis is also a very critical form of Dionysus, the merger of Osiris, Hades, and Apis. And Dionysus, Dios, means a young Zeus, and Hades is the alter ego of Zeus. And Osiris, and interpreted by the West at least, is a deity that's called the Lord of the Black, who's resurrected, and in the Roman version it's clear that it's resurrected in the children of the devil. Osiris, as interpreted by the Greco-Roman system, is an evil deity. Okay. Osiris, is interpreted by me, is a whole different story. It's like art. What is a kind, righteous black man who's killed by a wicked person and resurrected to a righteous person? It might be someone in his family who reminds him of that, or reminds him of Osiris or whatever. It's iris, right? Your iris, right? How you see things. You can see the weakness of a man right through his iris, as they say. So to me, as a righteous person, if I was to look at a story like that, regardless of the official interpretation, if such a thing exists, I would say that's a righteous person who's vindicated by his bloodline, by his children, by his spiritual bloodline, rather, by the spirit of righteousness, something that cannot be done after my flesh dies because of the circumstances of the world. To the Luciferian, Set betrays Osiris, kills him, rapes Isis, and Isis raises his child in the spirit of Osiris when he's really a Setian. And they pretend, like Psyche in the myths, they pretend using psychology, but the child is really a baby Setian, a Dionysian, not the child of Horus. And their cause is the flesh-based. They have a flesh-based imperative, and that's reflected in the spirit of the child, who is a con or a fake Horus. Not truly a hero, not truly the hero, the Son of God, the spirit of universal pinpointed moral precision, which takes perfection to come into, scrambling to perfect oneself, making perfect decisions like submitting to God through me, which is the only way you can be perfected. Thank you.